Giancarlo Esposito delivers the realest line that I've ever heard spoken in the history of cinema. Alright, so I thought Hurricane Delta was gonna stop me at all from watching and reviewing The Boys and or Lovecraft Country, but the good Lord came through for you, boy. I was able to watch everything right on time, and I'll be posting these just a little bit late, but it's good. Before we go too far into reviewing and talking about the episode, please, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on Facebook, follow the page and drop a comment. Let us know, where do you think the season 3 is gonna take us? Like, what is the plot line that you are wanting to see tied up the most? I actually have 2 and a few thoughts that I would like to share, but let's just get into talking about the episode. So, getting into The Boys finale, allow me to say that this thing opened up in such a slimy way. And I know the show is full of scumbags. I even coined the term scumbaggery, and it's something that, you know, a scumbag would do. And man, Homelander, and in this PSA, just reminded me of the ultimate dirtbag of a person. Like, you know that you're responsible for so much bad stuff, but either you're such a dirtbag that you don't see that you are, or you can just shrug off the fact that you do all kind of wrongdoing because, you know, there's a greater good. Taking notes on this here episode, there's a lot of things that I find stood out, but there's one moment that stood out above everything else. As a black man who is a superhero nerd and a person who also lives in real life and sees the things that goes on in real life on a regular basis, when I saw Mr. Edgar sit down with Billy Butcher, you know, Giancarlo Esposito, Carl Urban, sitting down having that chat, bruh, Giancarlo Esposito delivers the realest line that I've ever heard spoken in the history of cinema. Like, truer things have never been said. Like, yeah, there's been some great performances and everything else, but I wrote this line down because when he said it, as a black man, as a person who is engulfed in the entertainment world, and I love it, I've never heard truer stuff spoken than what he said when he read, "I can't just lash out like some raging entitled maniac. That's a white man's luxury." Lord, I identify with that 110%. If you don't identify with that, if that line is unimpressive to you, it's just because you don't fully understand the dynamics involved as living as a black man in the United States of America and dealing with, in my opinion, dealing with the expectations that other people put on you. When I think about this line, I actually think about the Terry Crews situation. How Terry Crews was groped in public by a man and chose his reputation and his career over his reaction, knowing that if he lashed out in anger, it would ruin his reputation and he would probably never have another chance at success in Hollywood. Speaking personally though, my wife already know. Somebody touching on me in that way, baby, hope that we saved up a whole bunch of money, because I'm finna throw everything away. I'm whipping this boy's ass, man. I'm not playing with him at all. But to each his own. Getting back to the episode and talking about just the wonderfulness that we saw throughout the episode. To me, this episode showed why The Boys are The Boys and why this show can continue to be a show, because the plan that they came up with to separate Stormfront and Homelander from Little Ryan, great plan, perfect plan. You know, you get one out by doing this, you get another one out by doing that. You have the perfect distractions, well laid plans. It was a beautiful plan. It came unglued because Butcher, you know, chose to do the right thing, which I don't even blame him on. I was actually quite proud that Butcher chose to do the right thing. That scene with him fighting with Becca Butcher to do the right thing, great scene. Lots of emotion, more than what we normally see from Carl Urban in this, because he's so like one note, I'm pissed off, but like he turned it up a notch here, and it was great. I enjoyed it. But then when the plan unravels, boy, does it get entertaining, because they whip Stormfront so thoroughly. I was only upset that I didn't realize Queen Maeve cannot fly. Like, I knew she couldn't fly because of the airplane scene, but you forget, like, she showed up out of nowhere. She must be able to fly. She didn't take a taxi or nothing. She didn't get an Uber out there into the middle of the woods. So how did she get there? Who knows? I just know that when Stormfront flew away out of that whipping she was getting, I was like, she got away. I wanted Kimiko to like rip her face off, but you know, she still gets hers though. So speaking about her getting hers, Ryan being the strongest ever is exactly what it should be, because he's natural born. Like, he was made naturally. So I imagine him being like the Superman of all Supermen. The fact that he lit up and just demolished Stormfront was very, very satisfying. Seeing a person who is like super openly racist get what comes to them, like, oh man, it's not a bad thing. It was awesome. Sad that Becca Butcher had to go, but I must say, her death was well timed, it was well executed, and it comes at a very important part of the show, because you can no longer use I need to find my wife and get to my wife as a crutch for the show. So you have 2 seasons of that. They did my wife wrong, I'm gonna get revenge, only to realize, oh, she's alive, when I'm gonna get her back, only to get her back for a moment and then she's gone. Which leads me to my big question this week: what plot lines do you want to see kind of unfold? One of my first thoughts initially after Becca Butcher died was that, okay, what's gonna be Billy Butcher's motivation? I know that they proposed a team to him, but like, what's gonna motivate and drive him to keep going? I'm gonna come back to that. And the reason why I'm gonna come back to that is because I have to mention this one part before I get to my theory, which is the senator who was out here popping heads. Bruh, I never would have expected that. That is very much out of left field to me. Maybe if you read the comics and you have background knowledge and you knew this, you saw this coming. But for me, as just a pure show watcher, I was blown away that the Congresswoman was out here popping heads without anyone noticing. I wonder, what is her motives? Like, why are you protecting Vought but at the same time fighting against Vought? Like, do you want the sole responsibility of bringing them down? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And those are my initial thoughts, but that is actually not my big theory, most important theory thought. Let me share. So my thought was about Butcher and what's gonna be Butcher's motivation, and here it is. My executive producer gave me this, so I'm gonna read it off and give my homeboy some credit. He says, I think Butcher's motivation is gonna be working with the task force very lightly, but then when everyone finds out that the senator is actually dirty, they're gonna commission Huey to help take her down from within her organization. I said to myself, bruh, that is a damn good theory, and I'm gonna use it. So that is chief among them. That is the number one thing that I want to know. What is your big storyline that you want to see come home in season 3? That is mine. I want to know what is gonna motivate Butcher moving forward. My second choice would be, what happened to the girl who left the insane asylum walking on the side of the road? What happened to her? She is formidable. I want to know where she's gonna pop up again. I think in season 3 she could be used as a great, like, just pop back in, like, hey, y'all remember this thread? Let me just pull this out of nowhere. I think she'll be a good thread to like pull midway through season 3. So again, it's gonna be a whole year before we get something else from the boys, but I'm excited. I'm ready for it. I'll be covering things that pop up if they drop trailers or anything else, or any kind of huge news or storylines that come out related to the show, because it was one of my favorites. It's one of the ones that I was kind of squeamish about watching at first, but after I got invested with the characters, I felt like I understand what this show is. I like this show a lot, although I will acknowledge it's not for everybody. Again, if you're watching on Facebook, follow the page. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the page, and please don't forget, let me know what you're thinking as far as like, what do you want to see happen. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, and make sure and come back and see me for more videos.